Hey guys, this is Matt Invictus, and there's some very interesting stuff going on over at DC Comics right now. Despite it being less than 2 months in the year, we've learned quite a bit about the company's plans for 2018. Some very interesting stuff, and I'm going to be telling you guys about some of the things I've learned. Now, Marvel Comics, on the other hand, has been comparatively more secretive, and I would like to do a similar video about Marvel when I have more available information. But for now, let's talk about DC. Now, today the solicitations for I think May of this year came out, and we learned about some books being canceled. Now, there are plenty of books that deserve to be canceled because, contrary to what some people will say, there is limited shelf space. You can't have unlimited books on the shelves. So if a certain book isn't doing well, isn't finding an audience, then it should be canceled. So something that people actually want to buy can take its place. So cancellations are warranted, and some of the books that are being canceled make perfect sense. You've got Birds of Prey, which sucked. You've got I've heard rumors that a Supergirl is getting canceled, but I don't know for sure. The Titans books, which and this is actually a good move, I think, because of those Titan books were horrible. They should both be relaunched, and from what I can tell, they are going to be relaunched. We're going to see new takes on the Titans and Teen Titans, which is a reason for caution, which is something we should be worried about given DC's track record with those teams. But yeah, I'm fine with them again. And then got a DC Bombshells United, which I haven't read, but again, not super successful either, so I understand that. But the most jarring and surprising of these cancellations is Super Sons. That's the book that not only seemed to be pretty well received among fans, it seemed to be like one of DC's few books that, like, was really resonating with its readers, but it was selling decently. It's like not amazing, but for a new IP, for a new title, doing pretty darn well for itself. So it's really surprising that it got that it got canceled as soon as it did right now. It's probably connected to what's going on with the Superman books. Like maybe Brian Michael Bendis wanted to write Super Sons too. And that should be our segue into the Superman books. So a lot of you probably already know this. Brian Michael Bendis has sailed over from Marvel Comics to DC Comics because he ran out of characters to ruin on the Marvel side of things. So he's found himself in a whole new universe filled with characters and teams to screw up. And now, I want to make it clear, Bendis is good at writing certain books. He can be a good writer, particularly with more street level stuff. I'm sure there are a few DC characters that would be better suited to Brian Michael Bendis' writing style, but Superman is probably the worst possible book for him to be working on. They put him on both Superman books, Action Comics and Superman. He is the one and only Superman writer at the moment, and DC's obviously taking a big risk with him, but I don't think they should be taking a risk because, given DC's track record recently, they're not in any position to be risking anything. And like the Superman books, they've been by far some of the better books to come out of a Rebirth. They were like a bit more standard. They played it pretty close to home, not super no, not super risky, but I think they excelled by just telling like generally good stories without really, well, still being somewhat generic. But Brian Bendis, if you're a Superman fan, brace yourself for what's coming. But yeah, and also we're getting a new writer on Detective Comics. Many of you will be happy to hear that James Tynion is wrapping up his run on Detective. We don't know anything about what direction the book will take after him or who will be writing it after him, but getting him off this book is by far a good thing. Then you got Batman, I believe. Batman and Catwoman are getting married sometime this year, and I am not looking forward to it based on how their relationship has been written lately. I'm not against Bruce and Selena getting married. I like their relationship fine, but based on how DC has portrayed their relationship and the build up to their marriage, I think I do not want to see any more of this. I think the best thing they could do is call off the wedding and have this arc end in tragedy. And I'm not trying to be mean spirited. I'm not trying to like I want them to be like broken up because I'm a dick or anything. It's just DC has no idea what the fuck they're doing, and I do not want to see any more of this cringy rom-com relationship they've been giving us. So Nightwing is pretty aimless right now. They just put a new writer on the book. He's only written like three or four issues, and they already announced that they're replacing him. So it's like they have no idea what the fuck they're doing with Nightwing. They're just switching writers every couple arcs. So Nightwing's basically in limbo right now. I already made a whole video about their new plans for the Justice League. I don't want to repeat myself since I already said all this, but basically it's a DC abandoning all pretense of professionalism and just throwing as much crazy shit into the Justice League as they can to see what sticks. It's just a giant clusterfuck with questionable team rosters and questionable creative teams. So no, not super excited about Justice League. DC has put out some new intellectual properties this year, particularly the New Age of Heroes books and Batman and the Signal, and these are not great new new IPs. They are the New Age of Hero books are mediocre, nothing great or special about them, and they're not selling too well either. And then you've got the Signal, who's awful, and it honestly didn't sell that well either, especially since it's technically a Batman book. So DC is also falling very flat. They're not doing their iconic characters very well, and they're also failing to really set up new characters to, I don't know, fill the void. They're basically failing on every level. And then I haven't really been keeping up with the Green Lantern stuff, but regarding the Flash, you got the Flash War storyline coming this year. Now I'm more invested in that one than most of these other books and what they're doing, but I'm also more worried about it. So that's a mixed bag. And then we've got the young adult imprints. So DC announced a couple weeks ago, not one, but two new imprints focused on middle schoolers and high schoolers. And I'm 100% all for making comics for younger readers, for like kids and teenagers and stuff. I actually really like lots of superhero stuff aimed for younger audiences. I have a Young Justice as my avatar for a reason. I really like that show. I really like the old Teen Titans show. Not Teen Titans Go, the real Teen Titans cartoon. I really like the Bruce Timm animated shows. I have read and enjoyed lots of superhero stories that are aimed for younger people, and I think it's a very good idea to make these stories for younger people. But if you're going to do that, you should do it well. You should get good, qualified writers who know what they're doing to tell good stories that capture the spirit of the character. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from when I say that these young adult graphic novels they're putting out sound like horrible pieces of shit. Now, there are a lot of these graphic novels listed, they're really going all in on this stuff, and some of them sound okay. I don't think 100% of them sound terrible, but let me read you some of the descriptions and headlines for some of these graphic novels. This one's for Catwoman, a description, part of an interview for Catwoman's new YA graphic novel. Selena takes down the bullies in her school, and she's gesturing at their man parts. I write in that their man parts deflate, and even gave sound effects. Swish, swish, loop, loop. And she's like, yeah, I don't know how they are going to draw that, so she made me take that part out. Here is a description of a Wonder Woman's graphic novel, with a 15-year-old Wonder Woman on Paradise Island who sees drowning refugees and disobeys her mother Hippolyta to rescue them. She becomes caught up in their struggle, becoming a refugee herself. Washing up on a foreign shore, she is met by two UN workers, one called Steve and another called Trevor. They split Steve Trevor into two different people. What the fuck is going on? Gotham High. a multicultural love triangle between Batman, Catwoman, and Joker. Raise your hand if you ever wanted to see a high school love triangle between Batman, Catwoman, and the Joker. Mariko Tamaki and CPU's Harley Quinn is an intersectional activist comic about drag queens. Maybe. Look, a lot of you are probably going to respond with, "They're not for you. They're for kids. Why are you like criticizing these books? They're not for you." And it's like, just because something is for kids doesn't mean it should be immune from criticism. The Emoji Movie is for kids, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't make fun of it or point out that it sucks or is stupid. And it's a really, really good idea to start making accessible graphic novels for young readers. But by God, if you're going to do anything, make it good. I mean, you wanna like make a, I don't know, Justice League and Batman comics where they're like I don't know, teenagers or in high school. It's like so younger people can relate to them. Okay, that's cool. You want to make a comics about like a Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman that are aimed at like a preteen or teenage girls. You know what? That's not a bad idea at all. But if you're going to do a thing, get people who are qualified to do that thing so it doesn't end up laughable. These books that they're putting out, they have sunk below how do you do fellow kids. This is how do you do non-gender specific Toastkin attack helicopters. This is what they're doing. So enough ranting about the children's comics. The explanation for why DC looks to be doing so badly right now is extremely simple, because it's run by the same stupid motherfuckers who have been driving the company into the ground since 2003 or 2004. DC is run by incompetent individuals with all these like relaunches and new imprints, new lines of comics, and all these new ideas. You've still got the same horrible human beings overseeing it all. It's like you got fucking Dan Didio, one of the most hated people in comics, who's still the publisher of DC. Everyone hates him. Everyone knows he sucks at his job, but they have not gotten rid of him yet. They keep giving him chance after chance to ruin things. Now, the only possible explanation for why Dan Didio still has his job is that maybe he has embarrassing pictures of his higher-ups at the DC Comics Christmas party, possibly involving strap-ons, and if he loses his job, the pictures go viral. That's the only rational explanation I can think of for why Didio hasn't been fired yet. He is so bad for this company. He's not a good person. He's not a good publisher. And if you don't like something DC's doing, chances are it's connected to him or his cronies. And DC does not have a very good editorial team. I mean, I have a lot of issues with the current DC writers, but I think that if you had better editors, they can, whip them into shape, get good work out of them. But that's not happening because the editors are just amplifying the worst traits of the writers. So DC management is broken. They took every good idea to come out of the Rebirth era, and they are just beating it into the ground. So honestly, with the exception of the off chance that all these books I'm complaining out will turn out to be really, really good, I'm not expecting that to happen. I think aside from that, the best thing that could come out of all these plans, all these new ideas, is that if they're not good, that they will fail badly, like bad things do deserve to fail, and it'll finally get a DC to wake up and get rid of these horrible people in management who are ruining everything. So, and honestly, it's starting to look like that Marvel under the leadership of CB Sapolsky might start to be slowly improving. So So if Marvel can set a good precedent, if they can show that a change up in leadership can yield very, very good results, hopefully DC will follow suit. So thank you for listening to my rant, and be sure to subscribe. Good night, everybody.